Newcastle earned a well-earned draw at the Bay Arena versus Leverkusen. But now, coming up this Sunday, it is the arch rival, the nemesis, the one and only. We've got the Black Cats, Sunderland at the Stadium of Light. Can Newcastle come out on top against their old rivals? Find out right here on Toon Tactics TV, folks.
Brilliant from Cher. And now Murphy will take on the shot. Fabian Cher
All right, folks. How are you all doing? How is your morning? How is your afternoon? How is your day? How is your evening? Let me know. I hope you guys are doing well no matter what you're doing, whether you're about to go to work, whether you've just come from work, whether you're about to sleep, whether you're cooking, whether you're just doing whatever. You could have been anywhere in the world, but you're right here with me. And God bless you all for that. But it's going to be a great show tonight, guys. So make sure you get your beverage. I've got mine. I've got my what am I drinking? I think ginger latte or something. I don't know what I'm drinking, something like that. And so we need to make sure that you got your beverage, you've got your food or whatever you need, and so you can enjoy the show in absolute peace. And we can all think about how we're going to beat Sunderland as well as hopefully uh, uh, get one over our local rivals. So on tonight show, first of all, we're going to be doing a review of the Leverkusen game, which is coming up in a moment. And then we're going to be doing a tactical preview, a tactical breakdown for the Sunderland game. And I want to make sure you guys let me know what you guys' thoughts are on the game, what you guys, who would be in your starting lineup, or what would you reckon would be the best tactical approach. I want to know all of it. I want to hear all of it from you guys. All right, so let's start off. Let's do the breakdown. Let me make sure I share my screen. Let's look at the overview for the Leverkusen game. Let's break it all down. Let's get an overview first, and then see some individual performances. Let me know what, like, initially, like, what all your thoughts are in terms of the game itself. Um, what is your kind of feeling in terms of the Leverkusen game? Obviously, it finished 2-2. I've been reading online various kind of people's thoughts, journalists and what have you. And look, everyone has their own opinion. I'm going to share mine in a moment. And I guess some of the stuff I hear from journalists as well, and I was talking to somebody else online about it, in terms of like, same old problems, and where essentially, I think there's one from Craig Hope talking about. I think I even saved it. I want to make sure maybe I can find it, because I didn't note it, and I was a bit like, oh, come on, man! Like, there was. Let me see if I can share it with you guys. So this is it. Let me share it with you guys. Can you guys see that? Yeah, you can. Big up, Aaron. Good to see you. God bless you. Good evening, Philip. Hope you're well. Living life to the full. Good to see you. Let me know what your thoughts are on the Leverkusen game. What was your initial thoughts? Yeah, you already have. You're just doing it now. Big up to you, Harpo. Good to see you. God bless you. Welcome to the show. Make sure you got, like I said in the beginning, make sure you got your beverages. You got something warm. I'm gonna go to Aaron's comment in a minute, but I just wanted to share with you what I was kind of, when I kind of give my thoughts on it. Like, this is from Craig Hope, and this is his thoughts on like the game. And there was a comment that responded to it from Leigh Ralph, and I kind of co-signed what Leigh Ralph was saying, especially. So Craig Hope said, different competition, different country, same problem. Why is being in front late on such an ordeal for Newcastle? Flecken's mistake was Leverkusen's. Nick Pope, Marseille. Okay, moment, and Newcastle did well to profit. Gordon and Miley, excellent second half, but again, the switch off and concede. And look, he's not wrong about it, but I did. I was, for me personally, and this is, I concur more with what Leigh Ralph responded to, which is he said, massive prize for the most negative fan base on here. And I typically don't like to go into binary negative and fan base. Who's negative, who's positive type of thing. Everyone's got an opinion, but I did lean towards. I kind of felt the sentiment of that from the beginning. So, not to mention journalists who are starved of giving credit. Exactly. This is the part. Away point at Leverkusen, who beat Man City away, who beat Benfica away, and Benfica just beat Juventus, by the way. And a great point for Newcastle United. The team will be beat before they even enter the field on Sunday from our fans. Incredibly mundane. Great result tonight. Fans superb. As always, Newcastle fans are superb away from home, as well as at home. But this obviously we're playing away from home. 12th in the table. What a position to be. It's an incredible position to be in. Now that we've played 5, 6 Champions League games, and maybe another win and a draw, and we get automatic promotion. Either way, we've probably more or less sealed our playoff position. Maybe just one more point, and that's it. I looked at it from Leigh Ralph's perspective more in terms of it being a very good point away from home. And in terms of the late consolation, they asked this from Eddie Howe. And there was two Eddie Howe. There's Eddie Howe mentioned this before the game at the press conference, and he talked about it after the game as well. So they asked him, "What is in the pre-match press conference?" They said to him, "Why isn't Newcastle? What's the main issues? Why do they keep on conceding late?" And he says, for him, it's not about the timing of when the goals are, but it's the set pieces, the type of goals. He says, I don't know what set pieces are an issue. Like I don't, and that's what's more annoying to him. It's more annoying to me. And lo and behold, we concede from a set piece in the first 5 minutes. So when they asked him after the game for his reflections on the game and why have you conceded late, he said, "Look, we conceded it's the first goal. It's the first goal that's annoying me. The first goal which we conceded, I think in the 5-10 minutes we've conceded it, right? And it came from a set piece. The same thing that Eddie Howe was talking about prior to the press conference itself. And really, set pieces should not be an issue for us because of the size of, and it's the way we're conceding them. It's bouncing off somebody's back and it's slowly crawling in, almost like the Romero goal. And it's the type and the nature of the goals that we're conceding. So, but look, people look at it. Everyone's got a different view. I'm more on what Leigh Ralph is saying. I'm of more perspective of, look, we're 12th in the Champions League. We're not too far from qualifying. This is the second time of asking in the space of 4 years, incredibly, after not being in Europe the prior year. And we're doing well in terms of the Premier League. He didn't mention this, but I think we're still doing well in the Premier League. We're in the shout for Champions League again. And obviously, we've got a quarterfinal coming up where we've got another opportunity to get into the semi-final, our third semi-final in 4 years since the takeover. So, but I understand, like I said, I understand that people see it the other way, another late goals conceded, another issue, I just see it for me personally, I just see it as a learning curve for us, right? And I've been supporting Newcastle for nearly 30 years. We, like you guys, I've seen relegation. I've seen countless relegation battles, not just the 2 times we've been relegated in that space of time, but the relegation battles in between those times as well. Since that takeover, Newcastle, it's almost like we're going into super drive of growth, and we're going through these stages, we're going through these learning curves now. They asked Eddie Howe, and prior to the, I wasn't even going to talk about this so much, but I was going to go into but prior to the prior to the Leverkusen game where they said, um, they said to him, would you prefer to get automatic position rather than the playoff? And they said, and he said that the first thing he said was, I want to qualify whichever way we go through, like whether it's the playoff or whether it's automatic. He said he wants to be able to show that we learned from the previous time we were there. Like it's so important for us to show that we can get to the next group stage. It's so important for the club to be able to do that, and we're in with a shout to doing that. Like we're in that conversation. We're like right in the midst of it. Right, we're even above Chelsea at this moment in time. Right, and I don't want to go into this negativity positive, but I'm like come on, like this is good. This is good. We just got to draw away to Leverkusen. Do you know what I mean? Like it's Leverkusen who were invincible 2-3 years ago. Leverkusen who beat Man City, who beat Benfica, could not beat Newcastle in their own ground. So yeah, it depends how you see it. So anyway, I went on a bit of a sort of a tangent, but I wanted to mention that it just came onto my mind. So I see a few chats that I'm gonna talk about. I'm gonna get to them in a moment. I just want to set up the annoying. Can you guys see that? Yes, you can. Let me go back here. All right. So as always, we'll do an overview. Unfortunately, I can't show any highlights because they're all like on TNT Sports, like places that I know are gonna copyright me and stuff like that. So I don't want none of those problems. All right, Aaron says, did I miss something else that Aaron said? Oh yeah, Aaron says yesterday was really frustrating. Felt like a replica of Spurs. In-game management should have been better. Changes in the 60th minute could have propelled us up the pitch and led to a third goal. And we were so close. We were so close to that third goal. Hit the woodwork twice. Goalkeeper made an incredibly good save from Flecken as well. Absolutely. Aaron says, or even bringing on Wissa and the Langer naturally pushes Leverkusen back, who are pacey. Even the Langer, if Wissa wasn't able to play a few games, same issues as all season for me. So you're seeing the repetitions. Aaron Harple says it's always the same issues. None have been rectified. Again, I think for me, Eddie Howe said, he doesn't have, with all the games that we're playing, with all the games that we've got, it's difficult for him to get on the pitch, even to do individual development for players and do training sessions, because he's literally got 2-3 days where he has to recover. He has to give them the information. They have to change. They maybe probably got 1, maybe 2 opportunities to do training sessions. So it's almost like in game where they're having to rectify these issues themselves, type of thing. And sometimes you also have to give credit to the opposition. Like, we in the previous show we were really trying to find out. We were really trying to find out if Grimaldo, who we're going to talk about in a moment, my camera's gone off, apologies. If Grimaldo, apologies there. Yeah, if Grimaldo was going to be fit, right, and because he was going to be key, and he ended up being very, very instrumental. I do not believe Leverkusen get back into that game, or even get as far as they did in that game, had Grimaldo not been on the pitch. So there is the opposition themselves as well. We have to I give credit to them. We're going to see it in the stats in a moment. Where are you? Aaron says context is key for me because Bayern are a team in transition, sold 9 players and had a midfielder in a back 3. For me, in game management and cost us 3 points, Miley was a full sub for me, no other change. Okay. We hit the post twice though. Like if that ball hits either side, we're 3-4-1 up. So it's a game of margins for me. The Aaron says his post-match analysis was very worrying because we are always conceding around the same time, same mistakes, sitting back and inviting pressure. I don't know if it's mentality, tactics, or both. Needs to change. So you guys are very much on that in terms of mentality and same issues arising. Aaron says bringing on Wissa and Ramsey with 2 minutes left. What's the point? Changes should have been made around the 60th minute. It's really poor. £150 million worth of talent on the bench not to use. Well, Harper's even gone to say it's all Brucey for me. Brucey never got to the Champions League. He nearly got to the Championship, that's for sure, but, but not the Champions League. Oh, Harper, let me know if I've come back. I hope I've come back. I can see myself on the camera. Please tell me I've come back. Yeah, thoughts on the Tino news? So two things for me really is it's not worrying for me because I think we're in a better place to deal with it. In a number of ways. So if we were to sell him, we are gonna make a lot of money on him, and we're in a financial position where we don't have to sell, so it puts us in a strong position on the negotiating table. Hopefully, Tino doesn't do an Isak, and we won't have problems like that. But and with the sporting director Eddie Howe and the past experiences, I think we're in a position where we can get a very, very good replacement for him. Having said that, it's easier said than done getting a replacement. Obviously Chelsea made him. We've built him up, and we've built him up into a right back that Guardiola himself would like. So it shows you how good he is. So I would love for him to stay and sign a new contract. But I think for me, last transfer window has taught me a lot of lessons about the game. Newcastle have to keep moving forward, and if people don't want to be a part of that journey, they can move on. And I think we are in a better position to move them on and to find replacements. So I'm not as worried as I would have been maybe last season. All right, so let's break down the game before we move on to Sunderland. And like I said, I looked at it as a point gained. I thought that we edged the game, but it was very much still it was a very, very equal game. First of all, I wanted to, because I always forget to do this, lineups. I wanted to talk about the lineups. We started off with, and by the way, obviously Grimado was the big one for Leverkusen. Was he going to be fit? Was he not going to be fit? And you can see why they didn't play him against Augsburg. They lost 2-0 to Augsburg. Right, I almost wish he. This is how Leverkusen are without Grimado, and you just see the talent that he is, even at 28 years old. And obviously, like I was saying in the show, in the pre-match preview, he's like the Cucurella. He scored the goal. He was I can't remember, did he take the corner where they scored it from? I can't remember, but he was influential throughout the game itself. For us, though, Voldemar, Gordon, and Barnes were our front line. I was hoping in our pre-match preview that Mr. Elanga would have started on the right, and we can exploit those spaces on their left side, which would have been our right side. We talked about it, which would have been Grimaldo's side. Eddie Howe played Barnes instead, which isn't and put Gordon on his favoured left, where Gordon's absolutely smashed it. I think why Eddie Howe played Barnes instead of Elanga is, but he's in good form in terms of goal scoring domestically and in Europe, as well as Gordon and obviously as well as Voltamara. So I I think Eddie Howe chose the best squad he thought he could get, and those who are the most informed in terms of front line and are scoring goals to be able to get something in order to get something over the line. And Barnes obviously got rated 6 point. What did he get? 6.9 out of the game. Had a decent. We'll go into his individual stats in a moment. I still would have preferred Elanga, but it wasn't. Like I said, he would have. Eddie Howe wasn't far from winning 3-1 in this game instead of having to go back with a 2-2 draw. The other ones are Guimaraes, Joelinton, and Tonali. We would have predicted that, though. We did say Miley had a good game against Burnley. He could have started, and obviously he came on and made a massive impact. So happy for him. I was so happy for him that he got that goal, and it's the way he got that goal. Leaping header over the defender, showing his desire, showing aggression, showing bravery. Incredible. The backline we predicted as well, probably our best backline at the moment. Though we would have loved Botman to be fit. He may be fit for Sunderland. If anyone's here, do check up on Botman, because the last time I heard was that he may be fit for Sunderland. Is there any news currently in terms of Botman's fitness? And obviously Ramsdale in goal. Now, attack momentum, you can see that here on the right, or my left, or I don't know if it would have been on your right, but the one we pretty much dominated first half. Second half was a little bit more fairly evened out. And the moments in the first half where Leverkusen were on top, obviously they got their own goal from the corner, from the set piece. We came strongly back in the second half with that penalty, won by Voltemada. I'm still a bit edgy on whether that was a penalty, but you guys let me know your thoughts on that one. And then when we went 2-1 up in that second half with Miley as well, great cross from Gordon, got his man isolated. And in the first half, and Eddie Howe talked about this, was it almost like we didn't have the belief that we could score. Bayern Leverkusen would go into that low block straight away. Remember, guys, in the first show, we talked about how Leverkusen were vulnerable to the transitions. They had those gaps in their midfield. And how did they alleviate that? How did they deal with that? They just went into a low block, into back 4-5-5-4-1 or 4-5-1. That's funny. I think we do that as well. Got men behind the ball, and we weren't able to penetrate. And I think the big part of why we weren't able to penetrate past that as well is because we weren't moving the ball fast enough. The only person that was really punching the ball into other players was Bruno Guimaraes. And we needed to move the ball a lot more faster in order to be, if we were going to have any hope to try and either create gaps or get in behind Leverkusen, either just before they got into a low block or even when they formed the low block. And there were occasions as well, and it's where Eddie Howe talks about belief, especially in that first half. I remember Gordon getting on the ball, and he had his man 1v1, and he just turned back and passed the ball back again and started waving his arms to the other players saying, who's there for me to pass to? And I thought, why do you need anyone to pass to? You were one-on-one. Take the man on. You got the pace. And obviously he showed that in the second half, especially, the first cross to Miley, that just missed his head. He took his man on. Then the second cross where he did that real kind of old school Barclays, take your man, stop, stand your man up. Then, break for pace, get past your man after stopping and starting again. Accelerating past his man with his left foot, getting that ball in before Miley hit. And that was 1v1. He wasn't doing that in the first half. And obviously we spoke a little bit about in-game management, but you have to give Eddie Howe credit for that. The team's lack of belief that they can score in the first half to belief they could score in that second half, which they did do. let me. So I thought that was something worth mentioning. Okay, so other stats. Like I said, I thought we edged it, but it was very, very close. Very, very close. Obviously, uh, uh, 51% possession to Leverkusen. Though I think in the first half, yeah, we dominated 57-43. Then it went to 63-37 to Leverkusen's favor. When I think they had to chase the game a lot more, and we started to defend. Um, we both covered a lot of distances. Like they just about covered a little bit more than us, 113 kilometers overall. Expected goals, guys, and this is what I'm talking about performance. Expected goals, 2.06 expected goals compared to Leverkusen's 1.2. You can see the Leverkusen's, their shots here in and around our penalty box. I think there's a lot of block shots there. There was one from Lewis Hall. The one I think it was Poku that broke from their half all the way to ours, and Tonali was chasing them back. Really, and he turned on Tonali, and Lewis Hall was just slid in front of him. He hit it, and I didn't realize at the time, but it hit off. That's why it was a corner. It hit off Lewis Hall's back. Really, really good recovery, incredible recovery challenge from them there. So a lot of block shots there from them, as well as a couple shots from again Poku with 0.17. Kofane later came on. Patrick Sheik, wasn't he got the free kick. By the way, that was a big turning point. Obviously, when he got the free kick from Chow, that could have been a red card and a penalty. I don't think it was, and the referee made the correct decision. So it went our way, but it was the right way to go. So yeah, Dale had 1.2 expected XG. We had the 2.06. Obviously, the penalty that we scored plus the Lewis Hall header. Gordon's penalty 0.79 XG. Then Lewis Miley. Did I say Lewis Hall? Lewis Miley's Hall. Did I say Lewis? Yeah, Lewis Miley 0.18 on the XG there. Malik Chow, but who was that? Voltamada. That was when he swung at it, I think, as well. Joelinton. Then I think there would have been. This is the. This might be the Gordon one when he hit off the post. Murphy when he hit off the post. Those are really low XG shots, by the way. There was. How about the Malik Chow off the when Flecken had it as well? Yeah. No, I can't find it. Yeah, but look, away from home at the Bay Arena, and we edged it on. I expected the XG. I thought was really, really good. We had 13 shots to their 17. Our keeper had to make 6 saves. Ramsdale had. Some said he had an awesome game. I don't think it was. Uh, Maybe it's just me. I'm still edgy when it comes to set pieces with Ramsdale, but he did make some good saves, and I saw good distribution, decent distribution from him as well. So I think he's getting better, in my opinion. Number of sprints, we know, sometimes it's on, sometimes it's off. We had 108 sprints compared to the 87. So we worked terrifically, terrifically hard in this game, especially on and off the ball. You can see that they favored their left side in terms of attack. Leverkusen here, obviously where Grimaldo was, and if you start moving centrally, we were more on our right side with Barnes, actually, to be fair to him, in terms of concentration of play. But that might be because we knew that Grimaldo will go missing. Well, he'll invert or he'll be up the field, and so we try to exploit that half as well. So that's maybe what gave Gordon space to go one-on-one as well. So that was pretty good. Again, we hit the woodwork twice. We had 5 shots on target. We had 12 shots inside their box. They had 13 in ours. Ground duels, they won 43% of theirs, won 57% of ours. Interestingly, they won 59% aerial duels. I think that's because we were really swinging the crosses mainly into their box. But they're big guys, they're strong guys as well. Good to see dribbles. Our dribbles were 83% success rate, 5 out of 6. And you guys know, typically our dribbles are like below 40%. So we really stepped it up. I imagine that increased in the second half, where we really stepped it up. Passes into the final third, percentage success, 78% success, which is not bad, which is pretty good. Um, Long balls is 42% to their 41%, not too bad. Goalkeeper saves. Ramsdale prevented 0.36 goals, which isn't bad. Their goalkeepers prevented 0.47 goals as well. So it shows you just how much their keeper had to work compared to ours. We had 10 interceptions, 12 tackles, 10 interceptions to their 8. Recoveries 49 to their 47. So we both were, it was a physical battle. So look, very, very good overall. I thought that we edged it. I'm going to go to, before I go to the individual players and a few, just to kind of mention a few outstanding, some good performances. Let me see what you guys are saying in the chat. Aaron says, for me, it feels like the players are losing patience. It feels very stale, and perhaps it's moving to that cycle where change is needed. We need a massive January to show we are moving forward. I don't feel that. I don't feel that. I won't lie to you, Aaron. And I don't think, even if you're just looking at the stats, their dribbles, their passing, their shots on target, their the duels they're winning, the sprints they're making, the physical exertions they're putting out there. I feel like they're playing like they fully trust the manager. And again, this is like probably the fifth uh, since the international break, 5 games. I think we've had 5 good performances. I include the Marseille game in that because even though, regardless of the result, I feel like we played well. Good performance against Man City. Good performance against Leverkusen, Burnley, Tottenham. We deserve to win. Marseille, like in most of those games, we're like producing higher than like 1.2, 1.3 XG. We're creating. So yeah, I'm not there. I'm not there in terms of like I feel like players are losing their patience. For me, it's not coming across in the pitch. Aaron Gordon had a frustrating first half. He did, not first, but second half was a lot better. Credit to Eddie Howe, in my opinion. Voltemada for me had a poor game, but I can't really blame him. And I'll talk about Voltemada in a moment. When he's knackered, should have been taken off around the 60th minute. Yeah. I think the reason why he might not have been taken off is I'm not convinced that Wissa is good in against low blocks. And I don't know if it's the game that would have seen Wissa thrive, in my opinion. But we'll talk about Voltemada because, yeah, there's a couple things. Miley, for me, has to start going forward. It shouldn't be a debate anymore. J7, great player, but for us, he lost most of his jewels yesterday. Well, look at that. Miley, Bruno, and Tonali have to be our starting midfield. He announced himself, didn't he? He really did announce himself yesterday. Aaron says another issue as well is this flat midfield three. You really don't like that midfield three, do you? Leverkusen were doing the same thing, I think. Tapsoba and Andrich were passing through our press like it was nothing, and they were straight out to our backline. This flat three just doesn't work for me. Adrian, good to see you. God bless you. Thought Leverkusen missed Sheik badly in the second half. Yes. And Gramado stepped it up. Absolutely. Aaron says both keepers just are good at what the other is really bad at, and their weaknesses are each other's strengths. We need a new goalkeeper. If only one, we can merge the two goalkeepers together. Yeah, hence Trafford. It might be Trafford. Adrian says we last night, the end of the J7 era. That's a great question, Adrian. What do you think? Let me know, Adrian. What do you think? I think it's certainly the error for Miley. I don't know whether it is. I think the error for Miley. Though I'll talk about the Sunderland game in a moment. But I don't know if he starts. I know you guys are going to think what. We'll see. It's just more about how I look of how Sunderland play, but I might be wrong. Aaron says, by stale I mean like the squad and the first team. Not many changes in the team, and the players are getting fed up with it. How do you mean not many changes? Like because do you mean like a recruitment? We bought 6 players and we sold players. Longstaff, Kelly, they're all still getting to know each other, really. Let me know what you think. I don't think. I don't know. Adrian agrees as well. I don't see the staleness. I won't lie to you guys. I'm gonna gently disagree. I don't see the staleness. All right, so we talked a little bit about the individual players. So let me make sure we get here. Let's talk about a little bit some of our individual performances. Make sure you guys can see that. Yes, you can. Right. So we mentioned Gordon. He got a goal and assist last night. He's doing phenomenally well in the Champions League. Difficult first half, but he picked it up in the second half, and you can see his heat map there. Can you see the heat map? Yeah, yes, you can. I'll have to lower it a little bit. He spent a good amount of his time in the opposition half. He's going from right to left, and that's courtesy of Lewis Hall doing a lot of work behind him. And that's what allows Gordon to play better, Lewis Hall. So we've seen that as well. Green bars on the shooting, passing, dribbling, defending, scored a goal, created a goal, expected goal 0.83. So a goal and assist, phenomenal. 2 shots on the goal as well. Expected goals on target, 0.94. Really enjoying taking the penalties. And he hit the woodwork as well. Was really unlucky in that one. He's beginning to find that his shooting boots as well, which is good to see. Top speed 34 kilometers, crazy. Number of sprints 13. He's usually a little bit higher, just to say that. He's usually like up to 20s. Lots of running. Where are we? Touches, 44 touches of the ball. Only 1 unsuccessful touch. So really, really good in possession. Dribbles, 2 out of 3 dribbles. Very, very good. Was fouled on 1 occasion. Created at least 1 big chance. Had 1 key pass. 1 successful cross out of 5, and you have to have that. And if you're going to be, that's the amount of crosses you're going to have to put in to get 1 successful, because that 1 successful cross became a goal. Accurate passes, 96% accurate passes, really good. And what's even better is that passes in the opposition half, 94% success. So 17 out of 18 of his passes in Leverkusen's half got to their man. Passes in his own half was fine. Long balls as well, 2 out of 2 of 100%. So his passing game was on point. His dribbling was on point. His shooting was on point. He's just, stepping up to the plate, handling the pressure. Mentality was on point. 3 out of 5 ground duels won. 5 recoveries. Phenomenal. Absolutely phenomenal game from Mr. Gordon. How did Barnes do on that right-hand side? Again, staying up on, really, you can see in the heat map here. Make sure you guys can see the heat map for Mr. Barnes. Yes, you can. Again, spending most of his time in the opposition half. Again, courtesy of Livramento pushing up and doing his bit. Even, spending quite a bit of time in the penalty box. Like I said, would I prefer the Langa? Yes. But that's fine. He had 2 shots on target, 0.27 expected shots, covered about 9.2 kilometers. So he had 47 touches, 2 unsuccessful. So good in possession so far. So lots of touches for our front 3 really. Well, Baltimore a little bit less. We're going to see him in a moment. Accurate passes, 97% possession. Passes in the opposition half, 96% possession. Really, really, really good. 100% in his own half. So in possession from our forwards has been really good. Now, Voldemar, who had a little bit less of an impact, maybe on the ball. I have to say this though, off the ball, from what I can remember, he was pretty good. So this is what I mean. I won't do all the players because that would take too much time, but there are some players obviously we want to talk about. You can see the heat map here. Spends, again, which is good to see, more time in the opposition half. Spent some time in ours, blocking crosses, but a lot of time not as much time, I say a lot of time, a good amount of time in the opposition box, but obviously didn't get the goals off. Expected goal 0.36. I think that's where he was literally outside. If you guys remember, the ball literally crawled past the post. If he had a better shot, he would have got, he would have had a chance there. He covered a lot of distance, 10.2 kilometers, even more than Gordon. He covered more distance than Gordon. He nearly had as much. He had 8 sprints as well. He had 25 touches, so maybe it's more on the ball stuff. Could he have been more on the ball? Possibly. Spent a lot of time trying to pin the defenders back. Accurate passes, 46%. Not like him, but he was surrounded. Passes in opposition half, 42%. Passes in his own half, 100%. So ground duels, he won 2 out of 3 ground duels, and he won 2 out of 2 aerial duels. So a lot of when it comes to dueling, getting the ball, good passing, not his usual best. He had his opportunities. However, or at least the one opportunity, and he also created he also was the reason why we got the penalty as well. So not too bad from him. Not too bad for him. Now I want to talk about Joelinton finally. And then we'll talk a little bit about Miley as well before we move on. I always love to talk about. I want to talk about Lewis Hall and Livramento, but I don't know. We don't always get. Let's see. We'll see what we can do. So Joelinton, is it the end of an era? So he was pretty much all over the field. How many minutes did he play before he went off? 60 minutes. And it wasn't clear. Was he injured or was he not injured? He said he was injured. Then Eddie Howe made a substitution. When he was off, he said, no, I could have played. By that time, it was too late. Eddie Howe said it was my call regardless. So he's pretty much all over the field, on the left and on the right side of the pitch. Obviously, no goals. Expected goals 0.19. I can't remember when he had a shot, but apparently he did. No key passes. Passes in general, though, 87% accuracy. Passes in the opposition half, 86% accuracy, as well as 89% accuracy in his own half. Long balls, he had 100%, one accuracy, 7.4 kilometers covered, obviously in 60 minutes, which isn't bad. He was probably heading to 10k kilometers covered from there. A total of 1 shot. Touches, he had 35 touches in 60 minutes, bearing in mind. He made 1 interception. He made 2 clearances. He blocked 2 shots. He made 5 recoveries in that 60 minutes. That's pretty good. And this is where it's not so good. He won 1 out of 3 ground duels, and he won 1 out of 6 aerial duels. It's usually lopsided for a minute. It's usually him winning duels and not being so good with his passes. So is he a bit off? Is he a bit not quite fit? It's unlike him missing so many duels. I'm not ready to say it's an end of an era. I am ready to say that he's his performance is definitely on a downward trajectory at the moment. But there's nothing to suggest that he won't recover and get better. But the man who took over, Miley. Now, Miley only had 30 minutes. And within that 30 minutes, he scored a goal. No key passes, no crosses. Accurate passes, 4 out of 6, 67%. Passing opposition half, 2 out of 3. Again, 30 minutes, 67%. It would have got a little bit higher, I'm sure, if he had played a little bit longer. 4.1 km. Covered. Number of sprints, 4 in 30 minutes. Expected goals on target, 0.61. So immediate impact, the impact that you want him to have, as well as having 12 touches on the ball, right? 12 touches on the ball in that 30 minutes. Had 1 interception in clearance. Really, really good impact is all you can say, isn't it? Really, really good impact. So who was you guys mad of the match? For me, it's quite obviously Gordon. But overall, for me, I think it was a good performance. It was, when they say that comment, a game of fine margins, I think that's what it was. I think it was a game of fine margins, and when we hit the post, had it hit either side of the post, or the side that would have been that led to a goal, we would have won 3-1, possibly 4-1. But it wasn't meant to be. But we're still in it. We're very much in it. I think we've nearly sealed playoff position, and we've got an outside chance, maybe, or just a little bit better than an outside chance to seal an automatic position. So I'm happy with that. And I understand what people are saying about it's been the repeat, and maybe some people feel like it's for some folks it's getting a bit stale. For me, it's not. For me, it's all part of the journey. For me, I feel like we, even when we are failing, we're failing forward. We're getting better. Our performances in the last 5 games have been very, very good. And actually, if you look at the form table, where we're currently fifth, based on the last 5 games, especially in the Premier League, that's where you also see those differences. You also begin to see that there as well. So overall, good display. Unfortunately, the one metric, the goals, didn't go our way, but we are in a good position to get to the next round. We spoke a little bit earlier about the Premier League. Now it's time to talk about a match preview for the Sunderland game. We're going to break down kind of how Sunderland are doing, their form, their style of play, and we're going to get to the tactics board itself. But before we do that, I see a few chats as well. On the Leverkusen game to see what you guys are saying. Adrian definitely agrees. It's Smiley time. Plus, I want J7 turned into a backup fullback. Do you know what, Adrian? I agree with you. I say agree. I agree with you because I've been thinking the same thing. Like a left back, like what's stopping him? Um, Aaron says the first team is basically the same team it's been for 3 years. Bar Chow coming in. The first team needs an injection of new life, but that would be help better with game management for me. But it's been the same team for the last 3 transfer windows because, well, no, except for Valley, the last one. So before the summer transfer window, we couldn't spend any money because of PSR. That's 3 transfer windows. That's 18 months worth of transfer windows. We couldn't get a first team player. In that time, we got William Musola, right? And we had to sell players during that time. Almiron, Lloyd Kelly, Wilson, all these guys went. Longstaff, all these guys went, right? So it's not until the summer transfer window just gone, but we bought 6 new players. So we've had change, but it's only come in the last summer because we were delayed. So, I feel maybe I've been a little bit too harsh. And I also think that it has changed, especially in the summer that's just gone. And part of our adjustment period, why it's taken us this long, is because we're changing our style of play and we've got new personnel. So that's my kind of pushback on that, really. New Badok says Tonali, Watermada, Barnes, Hall, Tino. I could go on. I missed something. I feel like I've entered the middle of a conversation. That's 3 years is nonsense. 3 windows. Yeah, so 3 windows. 3 windows. Aaron says Willock is still starting games, done well, but still starting. That's a good thing, though. If he's done well, I think it's a good thing, right? J7 Byrne was poor yesterday. Murphy started the season. It's literally been the same team. Yeah, but Murphy didn't even play yesterday, and I don't think he played the previous game because Ilanga's been playing. So we're seeing changes. Like even on that right hand side, we're literally the guy that Jace Murphy you mentioned is being rotated out. He's playing way less minutes as well. Aaron says, in general, this season there's been a lack of change. Chow was only brought in because of Shah's injury, and Voltamada was forced to do Wiss's injury. But that's like most of our guys. Eddie Howe takes time. The only reason Bruno came in and he got to play after 14 games, really. Sven Botman came in for I want to say Lascelles because was it Lascelles because he got injured? I can't remember. It might have been Lascelles or Shaw. Somebody got injured. And Botman came in for Sven Botman. 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 Came in for Eddie Howe takes time to embed in his players. That's not unusual. Nobody has come into since Eddie Howe, apart from the first five players when we were fighting relegation. Since that time, any player that gets bought, unless there's an injury, no one gets thrown in straight away. It takes a while. It's not unusual, um, in my opinion. Even if I go, yeah, it's not unusual. So our goalkeeper's different. Rams. So if I go back to our goalkeeper, Ramsdale's different. Charles isn't our centre back. Um, Voltamada obviously up front as well. So that even within that team there, we've got three different players that are currently playing in that team, and we've only just got our fullbacks back, which is nice to have them. Then if we look at our bench, Miley's coming in, obviously played there before. Ramsey's there, Wissa's there, and Ilanga's there. That's from one transfer window in the last, you know, 18 months. So I don't know. I think it's been a bit harsh. But there's been okay. So you're not understanding where I'm coming from. We have brought players in. Yes, in my opinion, some are wrong profiles. Okay, but there's been a lack of rotation in the starting lineup, which for me is frustrating. Okay, but where are the lack of rotations? Our midfielders, literally, the Burnley midfield, we had the previous game against Burnley, we had Willock, Ramsey, and Bruno playing. We literally rotated two midfields in this game. In that game, we had up front Ilanga playing, and we've changed it back to Barnes. So that's three players. So I don't know. I think I think we've seen some change. Like we have seen some change, to be honest. We are rotating. Aaron, I think we are. All right. So I don't understand. You guys are talking amongst yourselves. All right. Sunderland, Sunderland, Sunderland. Now, I was on Spurs Kings rival show yesterday, and I gave a 3-0 prediction. um, but then I did my research, and I think Sunderland are a good team, or a decent team. I don't want to say that about us. I don't want to say that about our rivals. And as I said, but I'm happy. I'm happy too. I don't want to say that about our rivals. But if I'm going to give any kind of objective analysis, and I can't spend the whole day, the next hour just saying how rubbish Sunderland are and they're nobodies and all these other stuff. All that aside, let me just do the analysis itself so I can be a bit objective. So, like I said, let's do a quick overview of Sunderland first before we get into the weeds of things. Now, their recent run of form has not been the greatest. In fact, let me go on SofaScore because I'm going to show. I want to see a couple of things first. Okay. So if we just looked on, you can see SofaScore had the last 5 games, right? They've lost 2, they drawn 2, and they won 1. The 2 draws they had, though, to be fair to them, was against Arsenal and Liverpool. I know Liverpool aren't in the best of form, but it was at Anfield. That's pretty good. And Arsenal are the league leaders. They lost to Fulham. I think it was an away game, and to Man City, which is no shame. And they beat Burnley. So, not Burnley, Bournemouth. So, despite they may not have as many green bars for wins in the last 5 games, but the teams they've come up against, it's valid. Like they're showing themselves to be a good side. I was just going to SofaScore. This is their last 10 games. In the last 10 games, they've had 4 wins, 3 draws and 3 losses, which is pretty good. Which is, they've been playing pretty well. That includes, games against Liverpool, Man City, who they lost to, Arsenal, who they drew to, Chelsea, who they beat at Stamford Bridge, right? So, you know, it, hate to say it, but they are a good team. And they are currently ninth in the table. They're currently ninth in the table, but it's not. What's interesting, I want to get you guys' thoughts on this. So they're ninth in the table. However, two things. The last 5 matches, if you look at the form table, the last 5 matches, we're currently fifth, by the way, for our last 5 games in the league, where we've won 3, drawn 1, and lost 1. We've scored 11 goals and conceded 8, which is pretty good, right? Sunderland are 15th in their last 5 games, where they've played 5, won 1, drawn 2, and lost 2. But again, we've seen the teams that they've played against. So their form isn't the greatest. Now, XG, in the XG table where we're currently 8th, Sunderland are in relegation form. They are 18th. So how does a team go from 9th in the Premier League to 18th in the XG table? That's the curious thing about Sunderland. Well, if we look at them, they've currently got the XG they're producing. So the chances they're creating at the moment, according to XG, should get them 13 goals, but they've got 18 goals. So according to that, they're overperforming. Sunderland are currently overperforming their XG. They're getting more goals from what they're creating. Right, so they're only creating enough to score 13, but they're actually getting 18, which suggests that they're maybe getting some wonder goals in, or probably, it's hitting someone's backside and coming off the keeper and going in. But if you don't shoot, you don't score, right? So the reason why I mention that is they are. I would say this suggests they are actually struggling creatively, and the goal scored is perhaps masking that. Now, goals conceded, right? So according to the XG, they should have conceded 21 goals, but they've actually conceded, I think it is 25. Let me just double check. They've conceded 17. So they've scored 18 and they've conceded 17 goals. So according to the XG, in terms of the XG that what their opponents have created, so what this suggests is that minus 4.1. What it's saying is that they should have conceded, according to the chances created against them by their opposition, they ought to have conceded 21 goals, but they've conceded 17. So they've been quite lucky as well, and quite significantly as well. So what it suggests is that their defense isn't as good as what the isn't as good as what the goals conceded suggests. So according to the XG, they should have 8 less points. They've got 8 more points than what the XG suggests. So they are overperforming they are overperforming in terms of their XG. So they're scoring more goals than what they're actually creating, and their defense is overperforming or underperforming, really. No, or their oppositions are underperforming, excuse me, in terms of the goals conceded. They've been quite lucky. They should have conceded 21, but they've conceded 17. This is for all those that love XG or don't love XG. But I assume if you watch this show, then you got some interest in XG, right? So that suggests to me, and me and Bobby Fairview, I don't know if he'll join the show, he'll find this interesting, is that this suggests that Sunderland, both offensively are overperforming and also overperforming defensively as well. So there is a hope, there is a chance, there is an there is not hope, there is, it does suggest that, they're not as good as what their actual points tally suggests as well. But we're going to find out. And some people would say form flies out the window when it comes to Derby. So, as said, they're currently ninth in the league. Let me see quickly their top players and other kind of stats that suggest their style of play before we get into the style of play as well. So let's look at their stats. And by the way, I think I've seen someone. Alex, God bless you, Mr. Box Office is here. Gosh, he's on the XG again. Expected goals, playing FIFA again. Big up to you, Alex. God bless you, sir. Always a pleasure to see you, sir. Here we go. Great question. Nobody says, how can you score more goals than you are creating? Great question, Noble. So, what is basically saying? Let me quickly show you on. Let me go to Sunderland. You guys can see this. Let me go to their game. So, for instance, let's go to their Bournemouth game, which they won 3-2. Let's have a quick look on their stats. Okay. So, yeah, you can see that. So XG basically is the quality of chances you're creating. So Sunderland are here in the red. They've scored 3 goals in this game. And the quality of chance, what did they get in this? What was their overall thing? Where is it? What was their overall XG in this game? They've got the individual one. So they got overall 1.28 XG. So the quality of chance they scored would accumulate to just maybe scoring over a goal. But they got 3 goals, which shows you that they overperformed. And what they mean is this. So when you talk about quality chances, right? So sometimes you can have point blank range. Like if you're like right in front of the goal, right? That's like you got a really high probability. If a chance is created for you, where you're literally in front of the goal, and all you have to do is just nod it in, like some of these chances here, your XG is going to be very, very, very high. This one's pretty low. Let me find it. So look, I assume you can see here, this goal here got 0.79 XG. It might have been a penalty. Yeah, it was a penalty. Can you see that? Nubodoc. Yeah, so Lefay scored a penalty. So obviously penalties are very high quality chances. 0.79, because literally obviously you got no players in front of you, it's just you and the keeper, right? But then there's some chances like this one here from Traore, 0.02. I would say that it came from a set piece. So it might have been a free kick that was, or it came from a corner. He was surrounded by players. Ordinarily crosses get knocked out. It's very difficult to score from crosses typically, right? So those are kind of ranked as quite low, depending on where you are. So where he was at. So, but it can be quite subjective. So you might look at it and say, no, I think that's a quality chance. So it's based on the quality of chance. So penalty is a quality chance. It's a better quality chance compared to a set piece that Traore scored there, right? And there's some other shots as well. So what it's saying is that the accumulation of all these little shots, all these shots that they've had, creates about 1.28 XG. So about 1.28 worth of goals in this game. Whereas they scored 3 goals, which shows you that they overperformed their XG. They overperformed the quality for the quality of goals, for the quality of chances they had. They really overperformed what they scored. So like I said, one of the goals like 0.02. So that's almost like a wonder goal. I'll have to see it. A Broby 0.007, from a corner again as well, from a set piece. So he probably was surrounded by players, tons of people around him, also had to get the ball past the goalkeeper. That's kind of seen as a relatively low XG chance there, but he scored it compared to a penalty. And that's as it. Warburg says XG depends on the context, not position only, i.e., how many players around the goalkeeper. Yeah, exactly. We were just on the same wavelength there, Warburg. So I assume those set pieces, those corners, like Warburg was saying, there's like he's maybe surrounded by 3 or 4 players. There's also the goalkeeper. So it's a very low quality chance compared to a penalty where there's no players around you. It's just you and the keeper. The keeper has, the goal is at your mercy type of situation, right? So what the XG table is saying, it takes the one that we just looked at, it takes the quality of chances for Sunderland from their last 14, 15 games and puts them all together. And what they currently got is about 13 XG on from the chances, from the quality of chances they've created, but they've scored 18 goals. And what's that showing you is that they are overperforming. Their goals are overperforming the quality of chances they're scoring. They're scoring like pretty much wonder goals or like set pieces. You can see there, which we're going to talk about the set pieces there as well. So they're scoring from their low quality chances. Now, you can what I'm suggesting is that you can only do that so long after time. You have to get better at creating better quality of chances, right? So if Sunderland continue doing it, you can go on overperforming, but can you do it for the rest of the season? We don't know. Can they do it when they come up against better defensive oppositions, i.e. your Arsenals, who they got a draw against, Liverpool they got a draw against, who they just lose? Who did they lose to? They lost to somebody. We were talking about who they lost to just now. Man City, right? So Man City just defended well, essentially, and scored their goals, right? So that's what happens when Sunderland come up against better opposition. So at the moment, it suggests to me if they're scoring, I don't know how many got from set pieces, but they're scoring from really low quality chances, and they're struggling to create high quality chances, right? So that's why they're perhaps overperforming. That's what it means by goals overperforming the quality of chances. Let me know if that makes sense. Happy to kind of go for it. Oh, someone says, I don't know. I think XG is overrated. All right. No, but I think it's very obvious Sunderland are overperforming. I don't think you need XG for that. It depends. I think you need both. You need your eyes as well as data, because I don't know about you. I haven't watched every Sunderland game, for instance, right? And also, it's just a good reference point. I don't necessarily like take XG as definitive, like, oh, this must mean that. But I use it as an indicator to let me know. All I'm saying is that offensively, Sunderland aren't as good as the goals aren't as good as the amount of goals they've scored suggests, is what I'm saying. And defensively, Sunderland aren't as good as the amount of goals they've conceded suggests. So what does that mean for Newcastle? Well, if Newcastle create quality chances against Sunderland, they have a high probability of scoring them. And if Newcastle defend how Newcastle defend, generally, they also have a high quality of chances of not conceding. Because if we look at, for instance, Newcastle's XG, the quality of chances they create and they concede, it isn't perfect, but it is getting better. Where is it? Newcastle United. Table. XG table. Can you guys see that? Yeah, you can. Wobojog said relegation. Come on, everyone had something that did. Wobojog's XG based on historical data, i.e., if a player were to take a shot from a location X, with similar context, what's the likelihood it's a goal? It's based on hundreds of thousands of recorded shots, right? So it's pretty accurate. Nubadok, you say they're obviously overperforming, but unless you watch the games, maybe you've watched their games. I haven't watched all the. I've watched two of the games, one against Arsenal and one against Bournemouth, right? So I don't know. 100,000. Robert Jock says 100,000 of shots is a figure of speech, but it's a large number. It's an important metric. Yes, I agree. So from that, if you look at Newcastle XG, we're 8th, even though we're like 11th in the table. If you look at Newcastle's XG, from the 20, we've got 21 XG with a minus 0.01. What that tells you is that we're very much in line with our XG. So for the quality of chance, I think we've got like 21 goals, 22, 21 goals, something like that. No, we've got 21 goals and we've conceded 19. So offensively, for the amount of shots, for quality of shots we're creating, we are scoring. So we're very much performing in line with our XG. We're not overperforming, so we're not scoring. So we're not scoring more goals than what our created shots are suggesting. But we're also not underperforming. So we're not scoring less goals than what the chances we're creating. We're very much in line. So this is Newcastle offensively, 21 goals scoring. This is who we are. It's not too dissimilar, but slightly different to the chances to the goals that we're conceding. So we've conceded 19 goals, but for the quality of chances that the opposition have created against us is about 17.3. So the opposition teams are overperforming on the quality of shots they're scoring against us at this moment in time. Not as significantly as that 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 XG, but still overperforming. So you can think of the Romero goal, the bicycle kick, which is just annoying and insane, and other goals that we've talked about before. Teams are getting fairly lucky against. Hence why even at the beginning of the show, we're getting annoyed about late goals. Not the greatest of goals against us. Typically set pieces. And that's what Eddie Howe was annoyed about set pieces. He's not annoyed about when they're being scored, it's how they're being scored from set pieces, low quality chances. Newcastle are conceding goals from low quality chances. That's what's annoying Eddie Howe so much, right? So if we get our defense performing to the point of where our offense is performing, Newcastle as a team are only going to get better. And you'll know that as well, Nubadoc. In terms of we've been like ahead, we've dropped like 11 points from being ahead and stuff like that. So even though in the league table, the actual league table, Sunderland are higher than us, they're 9th, it's not necessarily as the table doesn't lie, because they've got the important metrics, which are scoring and not conceding. But Newcastle overall are performing better than Sunderland. They're also performing better than Sunderland in the last 5 games as well, which we mentioned. So we're going to talk about Sunderland's style of play. No, I wanted to see something else. The other stats as well before we go to the style of play. Nobody else says, so you predicted Sunderland would be doing this well? Me? No, I can't remember what I predicted. I do have a prediction table. I have to look back at it. I can't remember what I predicted for Sunderland, to be honest. I think there might have been a real kind of how do I say it? Is it right to say misnomer? Meaning that they bought like 10, 12 players. We're going to talk about them as well, but they've ended up being quality. Nubadot says, come off it. No one predicted that. I don't know. I don't think they did. Adrian says, aren't Villa confounding metrics this? They are. Even the Premier League, I can't remember who did it. Someone talked about it, whether it's 4-4-2 of the Premier League, they were saying, even on Match of the Day, talked about Aston Villa saying how many wonder goals they've scored, how many goals they scored outside the box. Like Aston Villa got the highest number of goals outside the box than anybody else in the league. And everybody knows scoring goals outside the box is very, very difficult. That's why we call them wonder goals, right? Or top bins and stuff like that. They're very, very good. They're not scoring penalties and point blank range. They're scoring literally goals outside of the box and most of the time. And in reality, it's not sustainable, but so far it's sustaining them. But they're getting better. Like they are getting better. They scored a couple of goals inside the box against Arsenal the other day. So those type of things there. So yeah, exactly. Villa up to this point, we're very much confounding their metrics. John Murray, God bless you. Good to see you, sir. Says Xhaka will turn the Newcastle midfield into a marmalade. We'll see. We'll see about that. We'll see about that. So just one couple more points on the stats for who do we call it? Sunderland. Kind of give us an idea about their style of play, which we're going to go in a bit of detail about. Let me get you Sunderland. Where are you? Stats. Can you guys see that? Yes, you can. All right. So as a team. All right. So let me get a drink of water. And I hope you guys have got your bevies as well. So they've got an overall FOTMOB rating. Obviously, FOTMOB rates their teams how they want to do it. And they're 12th on the FOTMOB rating. Now, FOTMOB obviously takes into account all the metrics and stats, right? Both offensively and defensively. And they've ranked them 12th. So it's not too far from where the XG table, which has got them 18th. But in the actual league table, they're 9th. It kind of goes back to the point of, yes, they're overperforming. Goals per match, they're 15th for goals per match. They're not scoring a lot of goals at this moment in time, right? Goals conceded per match, they're 6th, so they're getting high at the table. They're conceding more goals per match. No. Sorry, they're conceding they're conceding. So defensively, they're doing pretty well in terms of not conceding goals. I'm thinking of the XG, right? So they're conceding about 1.1 goals per match, and they're scoring about 1.2 goals. So it's very even there at the moment. Average possession, they're one of the lowest in the league for average possession, 42%. I'm anticipating that they're going to be very happy for Newcastle to have the ball in this game, get into a low block, intercept where they can, make the tackles where they can, and then be very direct in their attacks. They've got 4 clean sheets, 10th in the league so far for that. Expected goals, back to the expected goals. They're 19th in the league for expected goals. They're in relegation form for expected goals. They're 19th in the league for shots on target. They give out 3 shots on target per game. So again, not the best at the moment in creating chances. Big chances created. They've 17th in the league. So not very good at creating big chances. Big chances missed. They're not very good at converting them either. 17th in the league. Lowest in the league for accurate passes. One of the lowest in the league, at 16th. Lower again for accurate long balls, 15th in the league. I'm making it sound as if Sunderland are rubbish or something like that, but I'm just reading the stats. I'm reading the data. I fully am aware that they're 9th in the league at the moment, but I do think they're overperforming. The other thing we're going to have to take into account, as we all talk about, it is the Wearside derby, Newcastle Sunderland. And as people say, someone's form goes out the window. But I think Eddie Howe is going to be reminding the players. If I was Eddie Howe, I think he'll be doing this is, yes, it's derby. Yes, there's emotions. But remember, you are better than them. Individually and as a team, you are better than them. If we're able to play with our hearts, but use our brains, our quality will shine through. We will be better than Sunderland. That's what would happen, or should happen, right? Lowest in the league for touches in the opposition box, one of the lowest, 19th, right? 8th for penalties awarded for some reason, though. They've got 2 so far this season. 19th for accurate crosses in the match. Corners. We're top for corners. I didn't know that. But Sunderland are 18th in the league for that. Defensively, they're one of the highest for XGs conceded. They're 6th in the league. So Newcastle are going to get chances against Sunderland. Absolutely. We're going to create chances anyway. We've been doing that quite a bit. 9th in the league for interceptions, 11th in the league for tackles made, 16th in the league for winning possession in the final third. So they're not a high pressing team in general, is what they're trying to say. And they're having to make some of the most saves during games. 3.5. They're only just behind Burnley, who are in the relegation zone, right? But the discipline is pretty good as well. They don't give away too many fouls. 9th in the league for yellow cards, and 3rd in the league for red cards, though. So what it suggests again is I'm gonna anticipate they got not the greatest of creating chances. Like I said, of overperforming defensively and offensively, not creating big chances, not the best at even passing. They concede a lot of chances as well. But there is something about them at the moment that's getting them over the line. You have to be respectful about that. So I'm not taking them for granted at all. Plus, it's a derby. So there's a lot of food for thought there. And yes, it's a derby. It's the Wearside derby. Emotion is going to be crazy inside and outside the stadium. A lot of media hype, a lot of press conferences. But like I said, I think Eddie has something on the along our lines. So long as that we bring the energy and we use our brains, Newcastle's quality should show in this game and will show in this game. It was a similar when we won 3-0 2-3 seasons ago, wasn't the League Cup, FA Cup, I can't remember. And they were bringing the same hype again as well. We beat them 3-0. So that's going to be the main thing for Newcastle. All right, so we're going to talk about the style of play in a minute, but let me see what you guys are saying in the chat. Wilbur, I still don't get why Aston Villa fans beefing us, man. I get why their manager goes Super Saiyan against us. Did you see the Champions League trophy in that? You're only as good as your enemy. So I love to see it. I won't lie, Wobberjog. I love to see it. All right. So, and big up, see more people in the viewing the show as well. Welcome. God bless you all. If it's your first time to the show, you're more than welcome to subscribe, like, share, leave a comment, or join the chat as well. Aaron says, feels like teams are adapting and getting used to the way Sunderland play. That's a contributing factor. That's a very good point. Absolutely. And that's the Premier League. That's why it's so dangerous. Like, it's absolutely no one, the most competitive, for me, the most high quality league in the world, in my opinion. John Murray says they were better against the Michael. They were better against the Michael Bill £3 million squad. They aren't better than this team. I feel like I missed the beginning of that chat. All right. So, how do Sunderland play? What is their style of play? Let me get this so I can see your comments in there. So I want to first big up and give all credit to Ryan Hurst. For those that watch him, an excellent football analyst. I've got this information from his. Here it is. I'll show you guys. Oh no, I can't see it. You can't see it. It's from Ryan Hurst. The Ryan Hurst is. Let me. No, I'll come back to it. But it's Ryan Hurst, right? Really good analyst. I'm going to put it in the description anyway, so you can find him, or on the timestamp. He did this review 2 months ago, right? When I think some of them played like 6 games. So they were doing really, really well. So he gave a good analysis of their style of play. So big up to Ryan Hurst, and credit goes to him. We talked about their players, right? And the signings that they made. And I think this is probably the how do I say it? The thing a lot of if you're a newly promoted side, if you want to stay in the league, Nottingham Forest did it, a couple of other teams have did it. You're gonna have to make lots of signings and quality signings. But Sunderland did a lot of quality signings, and what Ryan Hurst, let me put down his comments for a minute, made a point to explain is that they've signed about, I don't know, 14, 15 players there, and all of them got like tons of European experience. Bertrand Traore, 64 appearances in the European appearances. Brian Bobby, 43. Xhaka, obviously, the main man himself, plus an invincible, right, of 90 European appearances. Habib Diarra, 94 league appearances. Ranildo, 31 appearances. So a lot of quality and a lot of experience in this team, right? These guys aren't newbies. These guys aren't, um, you know, green. Like they've been around the block. They know what they're doing, and obviously Granit Xhaka is the one that stands out of all of them as well. So they've bought quantity, but they've also bought quality as well. Right. So their manager, Regis Breyer, I think it is. One thing that's important to know about Regis is that he's very adaptable. He can play 5-3-2, 4-4-2, 4-2-3-1. He's very adaptable, and he tends to tweak his teams according to the opposition that he's playing. That's very, very important to remember. Ryan Hurst analysed this game against Nottingham Forest, and he did say that looking at other games is a good theme about how Ryan likes to play his team. But it's important to keep in mind that I wouldn't be surprised if Sunderland take on a 5-3-2 position, formation, rather than a 4-3-3 or a 4-2-3-1. But they do like to be at 4-4-2 out of position, for instance. But it's flexible, right? It's going to take the formation that he thinks is going to get him the win. So here he's showing Sunderland in a they like to in a 4-4-2 pressing. So Forest were in possession of the ball. Forest are in the white circles, going from right to left. Sunderland are in the red circles, going from left to right. They're defending. They like to defend in a 4-4-2 position. You can see the arrows pointing, showing how centrally they want to work. And their main key thing, what they want to be able to do if we're playing from out the back, is to push the opposition. It's going to be the same thing for Newcastle, obviously, to push us out in the flanks. And we're going to show this more concisely on the tactical board, so they can surround us by 2-3 players at one time. That's going to be, and they're a young team, experienced team, lots of energy. They're structured and very, very, very organized in terms of how they press and how they defend as a unit. Out of possession, this is against Forest. They went into again 4-4-2, but very, very compact 4-4-2. Making sure that Forest were never able to get through the center of Sunderland's defense, and this also enabled them to be able to hit on the transition fairly well, because obviously they've got two players up front at any one time. So again, something for Newcastle to be aware of. When they're playing out of possession, this is a bit more. This is now Sunderland in possession. When they're playing out of possession, when they're playing out from the back, you can see their centre back split very, very wide, and it's important to remember that they split very, very wide. And you can see Xhaka here in the middle. And part of the reason why they play very, very wide is obviously they want to expand the other team, so it's harder for them to press. But also, when some of them are attacking, they really like overloads on their flanks, and they like to create overloads by 3 or 4 players as well. You're going to see this as well. So expect that. They're going to try to create real overloads in the flank areas as well. So that's what it kind of so that's how you see it here on here. The two centre backs here, this is going from left to right, split. Roofs has been a good keeper for them. Split like this, which enables their fullbacks here. So the centre backs almost turn into fullbacks here. Alderete here, Makaleli here. They split like this. You've got their fullbacks going even higher up the field here, which enables their eights to drive up forward. Xhaka goes in between them, and also enables their inside forwards or outside, depending on how they play. Lefay and I don't know who the other player is here to push up, and Isidore to push up as well. So that's going to be a big thing. It's going to be interesting to see how Newcastle choose to press in this game as well. I watched a analysis of how Man United did it, and they kind of went into mid block. Man United weren't overly interested in kind of pressing at this point. But obviously, when on Man United were a bit different, but it helped. Man United won 2-0. And when Man United went into mid block, it made Sunderland do what they don't like to do, which is have possession of the ball and have to build up with it. I think they prefer the team to press them so they can go out wide to the flanks or go direct as well, but mainly out wide to the flanks. Man United didn't do that, and they protected their flanks pretty well. And this is the flank play that we talked about. You can see here Alderete and Mokalele literally becoming fullbacks. They get really out wide, and you can see Xhaka here from the middle, and then you can see the flanks here, where you can see almost like Alderete might even join. You might have an overload of literally 3-on-2 or 4-on-3 if you've got players going out wide as well, on the left and on the right flank here as well. And that's where they get these kind of inside balls sometimes coming in from their centre backs straight to Isidore at times or to Lefay, and that's how they launch their attacks. Now I know what you're thinking. Even though that's a strength, the biggest weakness here, if they play like that against us, is this huge gap in the middle. Because if Newcastle break that attack, we can head centrally into their opposition half with our really fast players. Obviously, in Langon, so I think it'll be a good game for Langon. I think it'll be a good game for Joe Willock. That's why I hesitated for. I know Lewis Miley. There's a good chance that Lewis Miley plays, but I think Joe Willock is very good in these situations as well. Willock, Gordon will be key. Our fullbacks winning their one-on-one duels will be key. We have to make sure we don't get overloaded. But should we win the ball back, it gives us a good chance in the overloads as well. And that's how it looks in picture. You can see this is against Forest. Literally, they've got 4 man here with the centre back here. And then the number 8 Joelinton. I think that's the fullback making the run. Mukalele here on the left. And you've got 4 and 3. Like, Forest have no chance in stopping this attack. Let me put my phone on vibrate. Otherwise, that's all you're going to be hearing. So that's how it looks. Oh, I think I ran out there. Yeah, I did. So that's the main thing we're going to have to worry about. The overloads on the right, the split in the centre backs as well, that creates the overloads on the right, but also them being very compact defensively. But they are vulnerable to the transitions, I think, as well. So some interesting parts of the Sunderland as well. I've been thinking about what would be the solution for Newcastle in this game. You know, Lewis Miley is likely to play, but I something in my mind does tell me that this will be a game for Joe Willock. So before we get to the tactics board, let me see if you guys have anything in the chat. Aaron says, feels like to stop Sunderland, we just have to have someone on Xhaka because he dictates the tempo. Yeah, exactly. It is easier said than done because he's very good. He is very good. Someone on Xhaka because he sets and dictates the tempo for them. Their signings have been great, pains me to say. They have been. Experience and quantity as well. Wobojog says, thinking about it now, Newcastle could have done with a Xhaka profile, if not Xhaka himself, last summer. Um, for me, no, because we've got Bruno Gomes, we've got Lewis Miley, um, Tonali, even to a lesser extent, who aren't exactly the same profile. But if you mean like someone who can get the ball back to goal or dictate play, is comfortable on the ball, I think all three of those guys can do that, in my opinion, as well. So, but let me know what you mean by that, Warburton. Maybe I'm missing the mark there a little bit. All right, so let's head to the tactics board, guys. Let me know who your starting lineup will be. If you're not, let me know who is Lewis Miley getting into it. If he's not, who would you have? And let me get the tactics board up. Here we go. All right, so I started from at the end here. But let me start with us playing from the us playing from the back. So can you guys see that? Yeah, you can. On the left 8. Yeah. Could have been, but I think Jacob Ramsey, age, profile, chemistry with Gordon. Yeah, does he have the legs? I think. All right, so got the screen up here, guys. Give me 1 minute. I want to get a drink. I need. Right, sorry about that. I had a bottle of water, then finished it, and need another one. And I finished a coffee as well, so lots of talking on my part. Robo says my team was for Sunday will be Ramsdale, Tino, Chow, Bird Hall, Bruno, Miley, Tonali, Gordon, Murphy, and Voldemort. I am chopping and changing because in position Shah offers more than Burn for me. Possession. Okay, yeah, makes sense. Right, so I haven't made up my mind. And thinking about rotations, I have a hunch that Eddie Howe will make changes for this game. It's difficult to know where because players have played a lot. There's some players that have played a lot of games. So, for instance, I've got Voldemort playing, but Voldemort has played a lot of games. Voldemort has played a lot of games, so I won't be surprised if Wissa starts. And if Wissa starts, we play a totally different game compared to if we had Voldemort. I think Wissa would be very good for this game. Has he got 45 minutes, 60 minutes in his legs? Possibly. Or Voldemort starts and does 60 minutes and Wissa takes over in the 30th minute. I think that's the likely start, right? So I've gone 60-40, but again, I wouldn't be surprised. I've kept Gordon on the left because he's had a superb game against Leverkusen and before that against Burnley. And he's been generally good, really, the last 2, 3, 4 weeks, I think. I've got Elanga on the right. He played well against Burnley. I thought he was unlucky not to play against Leverkusen. And I think Barnes gets rotated out. In my midfield, I have Miley. I do have Miley. But I just got this nagging feeling. I've got this nagging feeling that Eddie Howe will see a lot of opportunity for us to be able to hit them on a transition. So having Tonali here, Bruno here, you can have Miley there, but I think the best person for that is Willock. So Willock, Tonali, and Bruno Gomes. But I have a hunch on that. But Miley scored and Miley played well, and it could be that, and there's probably quite a high chance that Miley starts with Bruno and Tonali as the eight or the advanced eight. Oh, I've got Burn here. No, Burn. And Miley at the base, kind of doing the Carrick role. I think he'd be really good at that. I've rotated out Chow. This is just my guess, though I won't be surprised if he starts. But Chow's played a lot of games back to back. And Eddie Howe might have one, though he will never admit it, but he might have one eye for the Fulham game for the League Cup quarterfinal. Chow's going to be very important. And then what would happen is Shaw will probably play in that game and Burn gets rotated out. So I've got Shaw and Burn, right? Very familiar partnership. Ramsden in goal. I'm still even iffy on if Livramento and Hall start again. Livramento in particular. But I've kept them in there. Right. So that's my starting lineup. Let me know what you guys think, what you've got. Aaron says Murphy will dead up for the game as well, so I think he plays or will be dead up for the game. He will be. Walter ideally needed more rest yesterday. Yeah, though I don't think his game was too bad in my opinion. In my opinion, because Wissa came on with 2 minutes to go, I think he was ill and he plays Gordon or Langan through the middle and protects Wissa. I hope Wissa gets more than 2 minutes though. So yeah, so do I. Warburg says, "How has Ramsdale been, by the way? Didn't have a chance to watch any of his recent games against Warburg. Jog, remember when you said Ramsdale was gonna take 2 or 3 games to get into the swing of things? He's taken 2 or 3 games to get into the things. But he is slowly getting it better, in my opinion. Was flapping a bit with corners against Tottenham and against Burnley, but improved on it a little bit against Leverkusen. But one thing that's been consistently good, has been his distribution, and shot stopping has been pretty decent as well. But he has been maybe a little bit nervous. Hasn't played for a little bit. But you were right, Wobberjog. It is taking him 2 or 3 games to get into it. Right. So this is my lineup. I've got Shaw and Burn, though. Again, I'm playing a guessing game here. I would like to see Chara keep his place, to be honest. To be honest, but let's risk it and see what happens. Now, I've highlighted these areas here because when Newcastle will be playing out from the back, where's the ball here? Sunderland in the white here are going to be in their 4-4-2 position here with Isidore, Lefay pressing from the front. supported by Traore, Xhaka, Sadiq, Hume, and with the back four that's over here. And it's going to work and be very compact. Their aim is always going to be, as Ryan Hurst has said, to try and push us out into these flank areas. So they're going to, rather than let us operate trying to get the ball centrally, they're going to push us out to the flanks here. Why? Because what that will give them is an opportunity to surround our player with at least 2-3 players within that time. And so obviously their hope is to win the ball back and then hit us on the break, which makes perfect sense. Like, that's pretty much a good standard for any team to do that. And they're energetic, they're young, a lot of them, they're strong, they're organized, they are capable of doing that. So our fullbacks are going to be key. The good thing for us is that we have very good fullbacks. I don't know if anybody's been able to check, is Botman ready? Is Botman fit for the game? In fact, let me double check myself, because I think Botman's return would be very hopeful. Is Botman fit to play Sunderland? Okay, so Botman is expected to miss the game. And is expected to miss in the next couple of games. He's got a potential return date closer to Christmas. That's a shame, because he would have been good for this. Okay, so Botman isn't fit. So our fullbacks are going to be very key to this. Now, we all know, and we've got quality fullbacks. So even if Hume tries to close down Livramento, we know that Livramento has still got the ability to drop a shoulder and to use his pace to run into these positions regardless, and draw players to him as he usually does, like that. Hume, Sadiq, all pulling towards him, and then giving space to the likes of Elanga, where he can use his pace, where he can draw out these players towards him, draw out again more players towards him, in turn like that, because Elanga's got the ability to obviously drag to run with the ball forward here and cause these type of opportunities for himself, or obviously Voltamada following. Gordon's got probably would be even ahead of him here with the pace that he's got. So we've still got the opportunity to break. Or, in fact, I see Gordon playing more centrally in this game as well, where possible. Or Bruno Gomes coming in to support, or probably Miley actually. Miley will always come in to support. Elanga will come in to support. We've been very good. I've been able to work the ball out, whether it's, so if we call these, if we get the, come on, can we make it work? Yes, we can. Oh no, I'll put it on the fade. All right, so Miley, Livramento. Oh, that's not the one I want. Let's get this. Miley, Livramento, Elanga. I'll use Gomes as well. All right. So they're going to be very key in making themselves available. What might be really good as well, where Voltamada will be good, is making himself available as well, because he's very good at either drawing the centre backs towards him and creating the space in the back. So Livramento can still either play off to Miley, off to Miley, and they'll be able to create spaces in and around this area here, and kind of try and play out. But it's going to be very tight. But it's going to give an opportunity, because the whole aim of, here we go, to try and get into these spaces in the back. So we'll see how good Sunderland are. They're one of the worst teams in terms of winning the ball high up. So I anticipate that we'll be able to play out from the back. Not easily, but it's going to be very, very cute. If we show quality as we have done in the past to play out from the back here, I can see us getting out and being able to hurt them. What I anticipate though, and I think very similar to Lewis Hall on the left hand side, and we know how good he is. How much we all rate him is that his drag backs, his ability to play out from the back. He's going to be surrounded by the likes of Traore, Xhaka, who you can't underestimate, probably be blocking Tonali here. So Gordon's going to have to make himself available, or Gordon also has to make himself available to be able to threaten Musiaka in the back. So even if he gets closed down by three, you can see Tonali getting blocked off. Maybe Isidore blocks a burn. Traore comes here, balls over the top. See how well Musiaka can match Gordon for pace and who can win that race there. That's going to be really, really important to see how that works. So you can see that happening. Voltemada is going to be key in drawing centre backs towards him and creating space from behind him. Can he get Mukoeli out the way as well? And maybe Ramsdale. Ramsdale gets the ball. If we are able to get it centrally, can Voltemada draw the centre backs away from him? Miley and Bruno playing off each other. Maybe Gordon and Elang get themselves centrally as they did against Burnley, and to be able to exploit these spaces in the back. Where is it? Like that. That's going to be interesting to see as well. I do anticipate, though, that Sunderland will be playing in a low block a lot of the times and will try to hit us on the break. So let's get this here. Where's Lefay? 4-4-2. They're lovely 4-4-2. They want to be in. And with us on the ball, their main aim is always going to be to see if they can hit us. If they can hit us on the break. Before we get into that, let me see if you guys have got anything else in the chat. Oh, tons in the chat. Aaron says, oh no, you're talking to Wobajog. Aaron says, I want to see Tonali as a left 8 like he does for Italy. So do I. Adrian said, no, you're talking to Wobajog. Aaron says, I wouldn't be surprised if Pope gets put back in. Yeah, I saw him training at Leverkusen, but how did it mention? I don't think was he on the bench? He's available according to Craig Hope. I personally wouldn't, but I wouldn't be surprised. Botman is still missing for a bit. I wish he could play. Yeah, I don't think Ramsdale has been that bad to be taken off. If he does get rotated out, it tells you a lot about what could happen in January. How tall are Sunderland? I don't know. I anticipate they must be tall. They're scoring from set pieces all the time. Aaron says if we can overload that right hand side and make that space for Bruno, that switch to Gordon or through ball is on the left gap between the defenders. Oh, I missed that part. I wish I read that earlier. I would have seen it. Can I get it? Bring it back. Is it this one? Yeah. So you said on the right hand side, where's the ball? What do you say? You said if we can overload the right and make the space for Bruno. Okay, make the space for Bruno. Yeah, yeah. So overload the right. So Langa, Voltemada, where the three Sunderland players will be, can get space for Bruno. So who have Sadiq's here? Okay, Sadiq's here. So Hume, Lefay will try to block up Shaw. Anderlecht here. Maybe Voltemada makes himself available. Where's the ball? Can Livramento get the ball out to Guimaraes, and then you're talking about can Voldemort draw a defender next to him and can get the switch ball like that. Let me see if I can do it properly. Curved arrow. And Bruno's really good at these type of balls, right? Was that what you mean, Aaron? Let me know. Yeah, because I can see that too. So there's a lot of opportunities here for Newcastle to get round the back, but that's why I think Sunderland are going to spend a lot of time. That's a good call there, Aaron. That's why I think though a lot of the times we're going to see Sunderland in a low block. So let's talk about them in the low block and what Newcastle need to do. One thing that I'll get into it. Aaron says, I think Sunderland impressed us, to be honest, from the get-go because it's their place. But as the game goes off, they'll probably set up in the mid-block. They probably will. If they do that, though, I think that'll be a mistake. Hopefully, it will be a mistake. The good thing about this game is that playing against the low block, Newcastle had some experience with that against Leverkusen. And one thing they didn't do well in the first half, which opened them up to the counter, was that they didn't press high enough. Really, not like they did against Marseille, for instance, and that's what opened up the spaces. And I think and that's one thing we didn't do. The second thing we didn't move the ball fast enough. We didn't punch the ball into each other quick enough. Only Bruno was doing that. And to break these spaces and to be able to create overloads, even centrally, actually, is going to take that. Sunderland are going to be in a very compact 4-4-2. I've got Xhaka here. Ballard. Ballard's going to be reuniting with Gordon, Mukelele, Alderete, Xhaka, Traore, Musiaku, Hume, Lafay, and Isidore will be defending from the front. Siddique, who's really, really good, really quick. In that pivot. No, he should be here, right? Hume should be here. I can't remember which one it is. I think it's Hume on this side. Right? So they'll be trying to defend. And what Sunderland will try to do is, again, try to get us into the flanks and win the ball back as early as possible. Because once they do that, they'll try and hit these open spaces here. Maybe Siddique on the side, Lafay through the inside, and try and hit us on the break. So it's imperative, absolutely imperative, that we move the ball very, very quickly. Burn here, Shaw back here. And as we do, if we're going to form triangles, if we're going to do all of that, we have to have, I've got 4 here because I think Voldemort is going to be key. Because you're going to have Voldemort pinning the centre backs back. What's really good is the developing relationship between Livramento and Elanga. Elanga loves to be on the touch. Well, he can be inside of. They do this really, really well. Sometimes Elanga will be out on the touchline here. The ball will go out to Livramento, and he'll punch it into Elanga and start making these runs here. Defenders usually have a choice here. Do they step up? If they do, then they leave space in the back, right? And that would mean that Elanga then gets space to run into, which happens. He can run into it like that. Or they stay where they are and they leave Hume. They might leave Hume in a 1v1 versus Elanga, and he has to take his chances and see if he can keep Elanga away from the goal or stop him from crossing. But that's going to be an interesting battle. Or if Hume comes to support Alderete comes to support Hume, can Elanga play these through balls onto onto Voltamada and allow us to get in round the back, maybe allow Livramento or Langa, because they like to swap as well, to get into these positions and allow Voltamada, Gordon, Bruno at times to get in round the back as well. But it's going to take us really punching the ball. If Newcastle could pick up from the second half against Leverkusen, as they did again into the Sunderland game, which I think they can, a part of the benefits of playing game after game, 3 games in 7-8 days, is that it's still fresh, right? You're not having to adjust. So we've got lots of with Livramento and Elanga, who I think hopefully will play. We've got that option on the side. The other option, obviously, is Gordon, who's absolutely on fire at the moment. No, and it's no coincidence he's on fire. Now that Hall is playing, that's a big thing for him. Who would be on the left? Well, it could be anybody really. It could be Tonali or Miley. But let's have Tonali here. Voldemort as well. He's going to be key as he always is in pinning the centre backs back. Gosh, come on. Let me take this off. Gordon. No. Hall. Gordon. No. Hall. All right. Here we go. It's not too dissimilar here, but I think it's going to be key when, especially when in your 4-4-2, when they're going to be trying to crowding us out and kind of getting into these positions. There is opportunity for space to be created where we can, and Hall's got the ability to do that because Hall doesn't always have to go run in here. He has the ability to invert and go even round the back here and create overloads on the other side if they're not careful, right? And you get these that's why you get these kind of 1-2s a lot of the time between Hall and Bruno, and you get Voltamada here as well, and opportunities for Miley to run in, which he's been doing, getting round the back, and the likes of Elanga joining as well. So kind of creating these overloads on the underlaps, but it's going to be very difficult because Sunderland are very, very good at kind of being a compact team. What's going to be more important is how often and how can we get, and how quickly can we get Gordon in 1v1s either versus Traore or Musuaku, whoever comes up against him, right? And Hall is going to be key to that. Either getting the ball out, Tonali back here, Burn, Shaw, they're going to be trying to crowd him out. Xhaka on Tonali, Isidore on Hall, Gordon Traore going out to meet him. Can Voltamada make himself busy? Keep pin back Ballard, maybe Bruno here, sticking himself, making sure that there's always someone. And it's what they did actually against Tottenham, really, really well. Pinning back the centre backs and making them show phase available, but also having a good rest defense. So if they get caught out, they've got players ready. And what happens is obviously Hall gets it out as quickly as possible to Gordon. And now you've got Gordon in these kind of now available to be in these 1v1s versus Traore or Musiako. Depends who Voltamada is pinning back, right? And he's got opportunities to run in the back. And you get hopefully these other opportunities for people to get in the box. Hopefully Miley again and getting these goals and cutbacks. But it's going to be taking us. What's going to be important is us getting the ball as quickly as possible, pinning back the centre backs, and movement in the flank areas. And I think we've got the quality with our fullbacks and others to be able to do that. I'll be really surprised if we get, not surprised, I'll be pleasantly surprised if we get any joy centrally. But Sunderland are very, very compact and very good at defending from the front. So that might be a thing. So, yeah, man, it's going to be a tight game. A lot in it. But guys, send in your predictions. I'm going to read the chats and then I'm going to give my prediction at the end. But guys, send in your predictions and let me know how you think this game will end. Where are you? Yeah, send in your predictions, guys, and I'll go to the chats. All right. So Aaron says, yeah, just like that, even build up on the left. Okay, we have the ability to overload that left side as well. Hall, absolutely. Over time, I'd love Hall to have the freedom like Romado did yesterday. Yeah, that would be amazing. Totally agree with that. Aaron says, I've noticed recently Tino inverting a lot to give space for Elanga really, really well. And you know what? Willock is good at that as well. Um, so, yeah, leaving it out there. Over time, I'd love Hall to have freedom like Grimaldi. I've noticed I didn't need him overlapping and giving Bruno that space in that right half space. Yes, to try and thread the ball through. Okay, absolutely agree with that. Great, you guys are sending your predictions. Adrian goes for a 3-2 win. Hopefully, that's a 3-2 win. Lots of goals in that game. It's going to be emotional. It's going to be emotional. Aaron goes for a clean 2-0 win. Right, so I did go for a clean in the Spurs rival show. I said 3-0 to Newcastle. Um, I'm going to change that a little bit. I think it's going to be a bit more tighter than that. And someone made an interesting point, like you guys said, that does Pope start over Ramsdale? Because I think Howe is getting fed up with these set pieces. He really is. If Pope starts over Ramsdale, I can see us getting us a clean sheet because it looks like Sunderland's best chance of creating anything is from set pieces. If we just look at the metrics, if Ramsdale starts, we've got better, obviously, distribution. If it's mad how it's going to go down to the goalkeepers for me. If Ramsdale starts, I see us winning 2-1. If Pope starts, I can see us winning 2-0. It's the first time I've given two predictions. I just go for the 2-1. 2-1 Newcastle is going to be a close. I can see us going 2-0 up and then Sunderland getting a goal back from a set piece in the last 10, 15 minutes being an absolute uh, slugfest, barnstorm, or whatever you want to call it. I can see that happening, honestly. I love a Geordie to get it. I'll put two Geordies. I put a Miley and I put Burn to both get it. Got Burn here on the thumbnail. So I've got 2-1 to Newcastle. 2-1 to Newcastle. Aaron says it's going to be a war. It is. It's going to be a war. It absolutely is. Warbojog 2-1. 2-1 to the Black Cats. Is that you, Warbojog? I remember that. I remember that. It's on. Aaron says we cannot lose to the scum. Fair play. As always, guys, it's been absolutely amazing. We've had a great show. We reviewed the Leverkusen game, and what's always great about the show is everyone's got different views. Some are disappointed. We're all disappointed, actually, and frustrated, seeing the repeat of different things. The squad is getting stale. Some are have a different perspective. I think we're going through the learning curves of being in the Champions League. I think we were desperately unlucky not to beat Leverkusen. Hitting the post twice, as I mentioned, goalkeeper making some magnificent saves. But I think, especially if we take that second half performance into the Sunderland game, which we now obviously talked about, we broke down Sunderland, how they're performing as a team. They've had a really, really, really good start to the team. Robert says, "Are your Derby emotionally charged for the players?" Yes, they are, especially Bruno Gomes, and obviously for everybody else. But I think we'll play over. I honestly think we'll do a professional job. I think we'll play with our hearts, but use our brains. I really think that. Um, but yeah, so we gave a preview for the Sunderland game. It's going to be, and despite them overperforming and offensively and defensively, as people say, form can go out the window. But I think should Newcastle play with their hearts but use their brains, our quality will show. Our quality will show. And Sunderland, their best chances will come from set pieces. Unfortunately, set pieces have been our Achilles heel recently. So I wouldn't be surprised to see Pope back into the lineup if that were to happen. But I've gone for a 2-1 prediction. Some of you guys have gone for a 2-1 prediction. Last week, for the Leverkusen game, someone guessed 2-2. I forgot who it was, though. A big up to you. But you guys have also been amazing. Like I said, as always, look after yourselves. And thank you for the kind comments as well. But look after yourselves. And as always, folks, God bless.
Oh, brilliant from Sham. And now Murphy.